Hi. Thank you for coming. In fact, I'm not professor, I'm just a medical doctor. I am Adeeb Sakhalaa. I graduated from the University of Aleppo Medical School. Then I attended the Aleppo University Hospital. When there I did my residency. In fact, today I will talk to you about my personal experience. I'm not talking about news. You maybe know news more than me. So I'll not talk about news. I just talk what I have seen in my own eyes. You know, the revolution starts when I was at the hospital doing my residency. So the Aleppo University Hospital is near to the faculty of medicine. And students there, you know, University of Aleppo was the first university that fired the revolution in Aleppo. In fact, students of Aleppo University were the first guys that started the revolution in Aleppo. So these guys were always protesting near to us, near to the hospital. So we always see them and see how the regime security forces came always and attacked them in a rude way. And I think, you know, so what I want to say for this situation is just that the situation in Aleppo or in Syria in general is very, very bad, in a way that even if the students were injured during the protesters by the regime forces, they couldn't even come to the hospital, and we couldn't even treat them. You know why? Because they couldn't come to the hospital because they were afraid to be arrested. This is the situation. They couldn't come to the hospital. They are injured. They may be dead. They couldn't come to the hospital. So we were looking for them, trying to help them, to treat them. So the hospital was, in a way, related to the government. So everyone comes to the hospital, even if he was injured, he will be arrested if he was against the regime. Another thing I would say here is that the regime forces guys, when they come to the hospital, if they have any guy was injured, they come to the hospital in a very rude way. They talk to us in a very rude way. And sometimes I can remember a story. It was a very funny story, in fact, sad and funny story at the same time. Guys from the Shabiha, you know Shabiha?
Yeah.
You know Shabiha?
No. Yes.
Okay, Shabiha is special forces for the regime that it's not legally related to the regime, but they are maybe thugs, maybe thieves. Any bad guy can be Shabih, in fact. So these guys are with the regime and they fight for the regime. Someone, Shabih, comes to the hospital. He was very angry. He raised his guns. He comes to the emergency room. Hey, doctors, where are you? I'm injured. I'm fighting for you. You have to help me. You have to treat me. Okay, you know, there is a policy in the hospital. In fact, this guy needed an operation. Okay, so the policy of the hospital demand that when we want to do operation, we have to call the attendant. Of course, you know the attendant. The doctor, that is the higher position. We have to call him and ask him what should we do, and then he must come, and then we get into the operation room. So this guy was, oh, I need the operation. He just heard that he needs operation, so he tell us, just do the operation now. He raised his guns. So can you imagine that the doctor that did the operation and the gun was over his head? He did the operation, the surgeon, and the gun was over his head. That's the situation in Syria or in Aleppo. Another story I'll talk about it is We as a student, when we were in the school of medicine, suffered from the regime as many people. So one of our students was the first, in fact, the first student in my faculty. I mean, he was the best one. This guy was conservative, so he catch scholarship. The only problem of this guy was that he is conservative. He has a religious way. So can you explain this for him?
Yes. So the student was
The best
top.
one.
The best he was top. You
Yeah.
hear me? He was the best student at the university, right?
All right.
So he was the best student at the university. He was the top, top student. But he was conservative, and he practiced Islam, his religion, to the best. But the government did not allow students to practice their religion. If you did more than the minimum, which is just like pray, just a little bit, but you can't get even more, then they would consider you, they would categorize you, and then they would arrest you for that. So he was the top student, one of the best students, right?
And you know how the government in Syria deal with these bright students? Can you imagine how does the government in Syria deal with this bright student? They arrest him. They arrest him and they suspend his scholarship just because he wants some freedom, and not that politic freedom, just his religious freedom. So that's the way how it goes in Syria. A final story I will say, during my residency in the hospital, Aleppo get into the revolution, and it was very horrible in Aleppo. During my shift, one of my shifts when I was at the hospital, parents, three kids and their parents get into the hospital because they were injured during bombing. Okay, so we deal with them, we treat them, and we give them all they need. After 1 week, they were okay, and they should go out from the hospital. So I see that I will be the person that will tell the father that he can go and he is okay and his family can go to his home. I felt that he will be happy if I told him that. When I get into the room, I told the father that yes, you are okay and you can go now with your family. But I felt that his face was not good. He feels so sad. I told him, what's the problem, man? You can't go now home. He told me, where to go? I didn't understand it. Where to go? I don't have house. My house was destroyed. So I and my family were injured, so I came here. And now we live at the hospital. And now you are coming to tell me to go out. Where to go? In fact, I have no answer. I didn't answer him. Where to go? He has no house. His house was destroyed. His whole family was injured. He was staying at the hospital. And when he was okay to go out, he didn't find a place. He didn't find a house, a safe house to go, because simply, his house was destroyed. This is just simple examples of what people in Syria suffer. May Allah be with them, and we pray for them. And I wish here to read Al-Fatiha for
the souls of the earth.
So please read it now. Thank you again for your coming.
Just remind them about the bond.
Yeah. And you have heard in about 2 weeks that the bombing that happened in the Aleppo University, where the students were just going to their exams, and the bombing by a plane, by a jet fire. and you know that about 100 persons were killed at this accident. Okay, thank you again for your coming.